So I don't want to talk Gutman down, but after the Arsenal drop points against West Ham, he messaged me to say 4 points this week would be absolutely magnificent for the Reds now. After they drop points against West Ham, and 4 points would have been absolutely magnificent. So John, what's 6?
Well, the problem when you started magnificence is where do you go from there?
Yeah.
And Kev's had the problem his whole life. But it is. But I mean, it's dream territory, isn't it? And it just feels fantastic. And like Kev says, you go out on the street and everyone's a walking version of that Facebook post. Like, people are smiling, everyone's happy, it's feeling great. And it is just brilliant when the teams do it so well. And you know, it's been a good season. They played well for the majority of it and the majority of games, but it's just all come together so beautifully over the last week. And it's gone from, listen, we're probably going to win the league, but you know, if this happens and that happens, to suddenly it's just opened up in front of you into a procession. And when that happens, I mean, it's not happened much in my life, but when it does, it's something else.
I think why we're so fucking giddy is it's you can argue this, but I think it's almost a 7-point swing in where we were to where we thought we would be sitting today.
100%.
Right, so we, after Villa, chin's a bit on the floor because of Everton. Wolves wasn't exactly a picnic. The worst winning.
They should beat Villa, but you're not entirely convinced at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And you're shipping goals. You're letting leads go. You don't feel like you're playing like champions. And then West Ham happens. So, and the 3-point swing, that was a banker of all bankers. And people can build cases for West Ham, you know, they're a bit better under Potter. But the bookies weren't thinking that. They had Arsenal about 92%. They go down bombs. It doesn't matter if Arsenal have got strikers. It was a 3-point swing straight away. And I think most of the clever money was on Arsenal doing the business against Forest as well, quite frankly. Edging it home, but getting there. Arsenal gave us a 5-point swing. Or the other way of looking at it is, City and Newcastle, before Villa, you go, yeah, we'll win and draw minimum. After Villa, you went, we might even lose at City. We might not beat Newcastle. That could just be 2 points. Would you take 3 out of the 2? People were having those kind of thoughts at that point.
On the way back from Villa, the conversation on the bus was, it's gone from being 7 points out of these 3 games, we'll be fine, no problems at all, to we need to win these next 2 now. And then before you get into the next 2, as you say, West Ham happens, and then you're just a bit like, it doesn't really matter what we do here, we can play the reserve.
We bounced into City.
Yeah.
I've never experienced, people talk about the bouncing into, in fact, the effect of another team's result. I don't think I can ever remember anything as important as them losing West Ham, what it did for us at City.
The concourse before the game, it was like a pub on Christmas Day. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh yeah, how are you? How's the family? Do you know what I mean? And like, normally it's tense. It's like, oh fucking hell, you know what I mean? Like, but it, you know,
the tension was gone, was it? Because Villa was
honestly, it was like, then it was like, oh, should we go and watch that game? Do you know what I mean? Oh, we scored way. It was like, honestly, it was unbelievable. Like, the atmosphere around the ground that day, it was just like one of, yeah, this is brilliant, and we're going to go up there and we'll probably beat them, and then we did.
And also the way we beat them, John, which was almost, you know, in the end, listen, I don't want to get too carried away with letting the opposition have the ball for an extended period. I think I'm going to mostly be against that. And I think Arne Slot is as well, thankfully. But there was just sort of that air of, as soon as Liverpool decided from 70 minutes, you can do what you want, we're coming out with a clean sheet. When you achieve that, let's be clear, when you then achieve that, and as the clock goes to 88, suddenly everyone's like, this is brilliant. At 82, you're not as sure, but at 88, and everyone's like, how good are these boys, how professional do they look?
Yeah, what they've got really good at, got better at, I think, throughout the season is managing periods of games, because you can't go hell for leather for 90 minutes. And listen, a team like Man City won't let you, and a team like Newcastle probably won't as well. So you can't be dominating, but also, you know, in terms of energy levels, he's not rotating a huge amount. You know, we did a show before on moments, and it's interesting looking back in November. He was arguably rotating more then. You know, he brought Gomez in for one of those games at City or Real Madrid. You know, he's swapping the fullbacks. Nunes starts against Real. Now it feels like he's got his guys who want to start. And so if you're making that decision, I think it needs to be around. Do you know what I mean? If we can just take 10 minutes out of the game and take a bit of a sting out, maybe sit back and be a bit compact, we do that, because it'll help us in this game, but also it'll help us on the fact that we're playing Newcastle 4 days later, and they've got on board with that as a team. Like, the manager's stock's so high at the moment, isn't it? You know, he's improved individuals, and he's getting a lot sort of out of the team, really. So when you've got that buy-in, what he's got from the team, you can sort of change the way you play a little bit and change your ideals a little bit and be sort of pragmatic in the moments. And I think that's what's been so impressive for me.